Hey, what's going on, guys? Xiangqi here. In this video I'd like to introduce the PGN parser I've just written in order to convert international game notation into so-called UCI or UCCI or ICCS, which stands for Internet Chinese Chess Server Notation. And this really benefits users because on the one hand we can open those files within Xboard or Winboard, and no need to stick to Chinese software anymore. And on the other hand, I would be able to load the games and to watch the games, to view the games within my CNC engine that I've created. So this is the game mode, but I will also create a mode to view the games, so there would be really similar interface, but just paste in the PGN here, things like that, or maybe even make a list of games to view, just as an example. And also the matter of having PGN parts to this UCI format allows us to create another app that I didn't yet work on, but that's probably the next project. So I will try to write a script that would be extracting the positions with made in 2 or made in 3, 4, whatever. So puzzle positions from the PGN files. So later on, we would be able to just make sound a little bit louder. So later on, we would be able to auto-generate the puzzles for CNC, which might be a very interesting project on its own as well. But for now, let me so this is just to give you an idea why am I doing this, and now let's focus on the results of the PGN parser. Before we start, I just want to say that I didn't really want to write this so much because things like parsing PGNs is really complicated. Well, it seemed to be very complicated, and it is very complicated to me at least. And when I need something precise like PGN parser, I would never go for implementing my own. I would just download the existing one and that's it. But unfortunately for Chinese chess, I could find only the only existing one, Parser, but that was broken and didn't work. So eventually I decided to write my own. So I've also okay, let me just make it a little bit more intriguing. So before I will introduce the parser itself, I would like to first to introduce the results, the parsed games that I've managed to obtain. So I've populated my CNC master database. So before I only had the games in traditional and international notation, but now we also have the games in so-called PGN notation. So if we have a look at the source, just for comparison, so let's just see the comparison. So there is the format. So initially I've scraped more than 43,000 HTML files that looks like this, and here I had the encoded moves. Here are the encoded moves. Then I written a script to decode this moves. This was already covered in the previous video probably, or something like that. So after parsing those games, I did manage to obtain 2 data sets. One looks like this. So this is the traditional Chinese notation here. And another one looks like this, which is the international game notation. And now I use this international game notation to parse to so-called UCI game notation, and this is the scope of the current parser, PGN parser. So here is how the data set looks in the international notation. In the UCI notation. Okay, so here is how it looks like. Now the trick is that this notation can be loaded into Xboard or Winboard, while none of this two actually can be loaded there. And well, I had initially I had 43,000 games, but successfully I did manage to parse successfully around 40,000 of games. So not all the games, but it's most likely not because of the parser doesn't work properly, but because the games are malformed. So probably they are just wrong in the database, which is possible, or something gone wrong when I was converting them to this traditional and international notation formats. But I did that with a code that I didn't write on my own, so that's not my fault basically. So the code that I've written on my own completely is the one that converts this sort of a files. Okay, sorry, not this like, but this is also possible. Just doesn't matter really. The code would be the same. The converts. I've created the code that converts this like notation to this like notation. Now let's go closer. See, like now let's go closer to the notation itself. Oh, actually, I've also extracted the famous Chinese grandmasters Liu Dahua and Hu Zhonghua games. They are available for download, so there's a number of games. So both in this UCCI or UCI, UCCI, ICCS notations. So this is just a zip file to download. I have them already on my system. I'll quickly walk through the games. So now let's finally go to the repository by the PGN parser. So here within the PGN parser, so what we have, let's start from bottom here. So the tests, the matter of how good the parser is. So here are the tests I ran using this parser. So I ran through 42,228 games. Well, I don't know why the number of games is less compared to the one within the database, or probably it was just skipping the malform games, I'm not sure. But eventually I've managed to convert 40,711 games completely. So from the very beginning to the very end, so all the moves were converted and recognized. But since we're converted and recognized them, and I went through the engine, so I used my engine in order to play all the moves on board to make sure that they are valid and legal. And that's the way how I was validating every single move within this number of games. Now the rest 15, 17 games are also parsed, but they are parsed partially. So it encounters the situation where there is a move in the game that doesn't exist on a chessboard. So it doesn't mean like the move exists on a chessboard and the parser can't actually see it or can't parse it. No, it's not a case. The case is the move doesn't exist on a board. Well, I didn't change. I didn't check all of these games, but I feel that it's most likely that's the case, because if we have this number of successfully converted games, that I think the parser is more or less stable. And one little limitation regarding this parser. So the international notation has one interesting rule. So we have more than 2 pawns on the single file. In that case, instead of considering a front or rear pawn using the plus or minus symbol, there might be a number seen like pawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So I didn't implement this within the parser, but the idea why I didn't do this is because within this 42,000 games, I didn't encounter a single game where the position where there were kind of more than 2 pawns in the row actually occurred. So maybe this is not really that great, so this can be added, but I don't know. As far as within the master games, we didn't see those like positions. I think that's just fine to drop that. But well, anyway, if this would be the critical issue, I think this little feature might be added in the future. Now, here I've provided a couple of snippets on how to use this PGN parser, but before that, let me just show the parser code itself. So it relies on my Wukong.js chess engine. It uses this as a sub-library, and PGN parser is the library itself. So it's wrapped within the class, just like the chess engine itself. It already initializes the engine inside. Here is the code. This was really tough to create and debug. I would say that creating the entire CNC engine was really a piece of cake compared to creating this this PGN parser, at least from my point of view, from the perspective of my point of view. So we just, game to UCI. It's the general loop over the moves. So we loop over all the moves, and then we're parsing every move. So the move parsing routine is here. So it consists of two routines, the move parsing routine, and here we have the game parsing routine. So it was really tough, guys, I swear. And this sort of a parser has this the only function within its public API, so game to UCI. So it takes moves as an argument and returns the moves in the UCI format back. So this moves is the list of moves, and note that the move list separated by the spaces, by the white spaces. So it can use. Hold on a sec. Where is? Okay, so let me probably go for this. So I also have two drivers. So the one driver is bulk parse games, which allows to deal with the PGNs that has more than one game inside, and another driver is a single game. So bulk parse parse game, and it takes the single game PGN as an input. So it has the only game. So both are working. So I use this parse bulk games to parse my 40,000 games using this PGN parser. So I just want to. So yeah, the source code for bulk parse games and single parse game is available here. So if you want to parse the single game, here is the source code just highlighting within the README, and here is what we need to do. We want to bulk parse. So let's have a look at the single one, because bulk is just adds another loop over the games. So move list. Hold on, guys. Just I want to recall my memory. What in particular am I sending to this parser moves? So what the moves? Yeah. So the moves. I'm not splitting the moves from the PGN. So I just want to demonstrate you this visually to give you an idea. Okay, PGN parser. Okay, so just want to find this. Yeah, if move count length is greater or equals than 3. So this is the validation I've used. Quite pretty simple, but yet effective and stable. So let's say this. Let's take the PGN. So moves is this string, all the moves splitted by empty spaces, by the white spaces. So this might be treated as a move, and this might be treated as a move. Okay, so you don't need to split to take only the moves or something. So all this entire string, and please note that we have the Unicode characters to encode this international notation. So we take this entire string containing all the game moves, and we use this string as an argument to send to game to UCI. So when we call our UCI moves parser.game to UCI, and we send in these moves as a string, and then the parser deals with that. So it doesn't deal with the headers. So headers are just simply getting appended back, and we just replacing the international notation moves with the UCI moves. And before doing this, we're obviously adding the move numbers. And at the very end, we're having the file, the output file, like this bulk games UCI. So we have exactly the same headers, but the move string is now like this. So this is regarding the parser, like regarding the data set that it generates and how stable it is. And now the most pleasant, basically the most pleasant thing to demonstrate. So now I'll demonstrate how these games can be used within Xboard or Winboard application, which is the chess GUI, open source, very nice. And then as a bonus, I will demonstrate how this sort of a games can be loaded into my engine. I didn't yet provide the app to view the games. That's the next project, but already just to give you an idea. So without further ado, let's go for this little demonstration. Okay. So I just want to start Xboard. You can use Winboard if you're on Windows, not a big deal. So I'm starting the new variant CNC, and now yeah, did I say that? Yeah, I said that I've used this. I've extracted Liu Dahua and Hongzhonghua games and all the games here. So let's start with this file. So I just say load games, go into my desktop. You just trust me that the games with either international notation or traditional notation are not to be loaded into Xboard. That's just impossible. It gives an error, so just trust me. You can try it at home if you don't believe me. So let's start with this master game. So 40,000 games. I just open this. It takes a little bit of a time. You see, like, it's uploading the games because there are really lots of those. And after it's done, just wait a little bit. Just really huge file there, 40,000 games, and then we would be able simply to watch the game, and that's it. So here is the number of games. If we exhaust the 1,000 games, we can just again go to the next page. So it's not a big deal really. So let's just try to take whatever game. Just try and take whatever game, and don't autoplay, please. And now we can watch the game within the PGN. I'm yet about to research the games as a human player. I'm learning to play CNC as a human, so now I finally can learn from master games without installing any Chinese software, but using this magnificent Xboard or Winboard. That's it. So I hope this is clear. Now let me just demonstrate. So the games like by Liu Dahua or Hu Zhonghua only contains games played by these players. So just a filter here. Still, I just want to demonstrate because I've seen many videos on Liu Dahua games and I find them really awesome. I heard that he's very good at blindfold CNC as well. Okay, so let's try to load another game. So go into desktop and Liu Dahua games. Okay, open and just pick up the random game here, and here we go. So we see, like, so I'm not sure whether Liu Dahua is playing white or black, unfortunately. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit unclear yet, but yeah, it's probably that. I just don't know how to do this within this Xboard app. Actually, it says which one where Liu Dahua play with, which color, so it's not a big deal. But anyway, we can watch the game, and this is really cool. So all the moves, again, like I just dropped the games that has incomplete information. So either the checkmate or probably resignation, like in this case. So that's what we have. Okay, guys, and finally the bonus at the very end. So I will now try to show you how we can be, so let me just minimize this, how we can be and make it always on top, loading the games into my engine. This would have been done a bit later on, but just I'm really tempted to share this because this is really awesome. So let's go for Wukong CNC and play online. I will now be making use of the API of my engine itself. It also has the API, and in particular it has load moves, but I'm not going to be loading all the moves. It's possible, but I don't yet have buttons to show you how to walk through the moves back and forth. So instead I would be loading the moves one by one and showing you how this stuff works. So engine.load moves, and here I can provide the move within the UCI format, and later on I want to draw board after every of these uploads. I didn't yet test this, but I swear this should work. So let's start. H2 goes to E2, so cannon goes to the center. So now it should be, now the cannon should move here, if I did everything correctly. Yeah, and this goes, and then we can use another move, copy, and just the same stuff, but already I'm using another move. and knight moves, and so on, so on, so on. So I hope this is really clear now. So obviously I could have loaded the game in the bulk. Yeah, but in that case you will see the eventual position where either mate, draw, or resignation, or whatever. But again, like, so now using this sort of a move format, I'm finally able to create to derive the CNC game viewer from my engine, and being able to use this nice little user interface to actually watch the master games absolutely online. So you don't even need to have the Winboard or Xboard. Well, obviously you could have you can do this on the World CNC Federation, but I think that my UI is a little bit is a little bit better, and also in this case you would be able to paste the game in and watch the game. Well, it won't be supporting international or traditional notation natively. It would be supporting this notation, but again, like with this PGN parser that I've created, you can now convert the game to the appropriate notation and then use within the engine. So I think that's really fair way of how to approach, basically. Okay guys, so this is it from my side. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, and take care.